So the first question is about you and how you became a musician, and maybe why, and why the oboe.
Okay. I started on violin when I was about 7, and
Because of your parents?
because of my
your family, your
mom.
mom.
Yeah, she played violin in college. My dad played clarinet in college, actually. So, and then they didn't have a strings program at my middle school, and I really wanted to be in the band.
Where did you go to middle school?
Rhode Island.
Okay.
It's a tiny place. Gloucester, Rhode Island is where I grew up. And I went to Pontiac Middle School. Anyway, but they had a really, really good band program at the time. And I just wanted to play the oboe because I thought it sounded cool.
And where did you hear an oboe that sounded cool? Do you like on recordings or
Yeah,
or in the band or?
it was around. We listened to classical music all the time in the car and in my house. And yeah.
Anybody else in your family playing an instrument? Anybody in music? Maybe in classical music?
No, just my parents playing like amateur, yeah. But they really loved classical music, so I grew up going to concerts, and I saw the Rhode Island Philharmonic play a lot. I studied with a member, and I think she still plays there, actually.
Did you do youth symphony later?
Yes, I did the Greater Boston Youth Symphony Orchestra, and now it's got a different name, but that's what it was in the 90s. So, and it was wonderful. We got to go to France. We played Petrushka the year I was there. We did a lot of really, really good stuff.
And then studies later?
So I went to the Eastman School of Music for my undergrad, and I went to Rice University for my master's. So I've been in the South since 2005. I'm not sure how that happened because I'm from New England, but I love it here. I mean, the South has been really good to me.
And now you're living around here?
I'm in Nashville.
You're in Nashville, okay.
That's right, yep. And in Nashville, I teach private lessons. I teach at a couple colleges. I have a couple of adjunct positions. And I also play recording sessions these days for movies and video games. And yeah.
It's big in Nashville.
It is. It's really fun.
Yeah. It's fun. It's very demanding.
It is.
For those of you who never been in a recording studio, you have to sit in a studio for half a day.
Oh yeah.
And concentrate in that given moment to play the right note at the right time, the right pitch, and so on. So it's once the light goes on, you know.
It's a really different kind of playing than orchestra, and I'm really happy that I get to do both. There are things I like about both ways of working, and I also do some recording out of a home studio for some independent video games and stuff like that.
Cool.
So that's really fun because I'm my own producer and editor, and it's a great learning experience.
That's very creative.
Yeah, it is.
You studied composition in some way, or?
Oh no, I don't get to compose. Composers hire me to play.
Oh, so okay, so you're producing whatever they create.
Yes, but I'm still responsible for the mic setup
and you do the editing.
I do.
Well. Okay.
Yeah, just the basic. I pick my takes and make it sound nice, and they go in and put it in their tracks with the rest of the orchestra and all the EQing and all that stuff.
Oh, cool. Next question is about your AGSO history. Is when you joined the orchestra, and if you can remember still of your very first show you played here, that you could share that with us.
Oh boy. Okay.
If not, that's okay. Maybe then a memorable show that you played.
Yeah, well, that I can do.
During the years.
Well, I started subbing here in 2006 when I was in grad school. A whole bunch of us would pile into a car and drive up from Houston, which took a whole day. So it was fun. Those were fun times. And I've been a member since 2015. I would say one of my most memorable performances was in 2009, the first time when I was here, and we did New World Symphony, and I played the English horn part for that, and that's coming up in January, and I'm very excited to get to play it again here. It never gets old,
And it's probably one of the most famous English horn solos.
It is. Probably top of the list, I would say, and I absolutely love it. So.
What do you do outside of Huntsville Symphony? You spoke a little bit about teaching.
That's
and
right.
studio work. Do you sub with other orchestras? Do you play in other orchestras?
Yeah, I sub sometimes with the Nashville Symphony.
Okay.
I also play sometimes with a chamber orchestra up in Clarksville, Tennessee, the Gateway Chamber Orchestra.
What kind of rep are you guys playing there?
Let's see. Well, it's a little bit on hiatus this year, but we always do a Baroque concert, some standard repertoire, some newer stuff, anything smaller scale, I would say. We recorded a concert including Beethoven 7 over the pandemic and put that online. Okay. That was really fun. And it's somewhat affiliated with Austin Peay State University, which is one of the universities I teach at. I teach double reeds there. Let's see.
How big is your studio there? I'm just curious. How many kids are studying double reed instruments?
Yeah, I'm sort of rebuilding the studio. We have 5 currently. And then I teach 5 oboe students at Western Kentucky University. And I have a whole bunch of students at home. I have 20 students total.
Okay.
And yeah, I think that's everything I do. It feels like a lot sometimes, but I'm very lucky.
How do you see the situation for oboe playing, just compared with other instruments? Because yes, I know there is usually one oboe player in a band, but it's not really a band instrument, right? It's really a classical instrument, and the repertoire is different. And it's not like you want to have a garage band with an oboe in it, right? So is it a challenge to find students who would want to play the oboe, or there's just a whole bunch of people out there applying for bassoon, oboe, and all those instruments that are not maybe as popular as clarinet or trumpet, or the ones?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel lucky because if you're a kid and you're going for oboe, you're generally one of the higher achieving students. So, the middle schooler who's a real go-getter. So I would say I have the best students. The kids, the college students, they're all more motivated, I think. You don't just pick the oboe to play something in band. Sure. You pick it because you really want to play it. Or you pick it because you like the sound, like me. You think it sounds cool. And it does take a little extra something to...
Let alone making your reeds.
Yeah.
Making your own reeds is a whole different story.
Yeah, that's a huge part of it. It's not commonly known that we do make our own reeds as double reed players. And for oboe, it's a huge part of the job because the reeds don't last very long. I would say I get about 5 good playing hours out of a reed. Wow, and then after that, it's not as vibrant.
So how much time, maybe a month, you spend with making your reeds?
It depends on the month and the circumstances.
How much you have to play?
Yeah, leading up to this week, of course, 2 or 3 weeks in advance, I like to start stockpiling my reeds. So I have a bunch to choose from. We had 2 rehearsals yesterday, and I rotated between 4 reeds to try to see how they were all feeling and what was working best for the music and my part, and the environment changes too. So I come down here and things feel a little different in good ways and in challenging ways.
Yeah, weather is a big issue with reed instruments. Yeah.
Weather and elevation too, actually. If you're at 6,000 feet or above, it feels very different. It's really, really hard to play. So.
The next question is a little bit about the state of our beloved business. Classical music in general, how you see it, how you see the present of it, and how you see the future of it, because I think we tend to be overly pessimistic over not just classical music, but arts in general, I think, because it's not an easy living and it's not an easy business to run. But based on your experiences, based on what you do with your students at your studio work, playing in the symphony, making your reeds, you think we're going to be around in the next 20, 30, 40, 60, 100 years?
Oh, definitely. I think there's a craving for art, first of all. I think for young people, they want a creative outlet. I think parents want that aspect of their child's education because they see that the arts fosters listening skills, concentration, appreciation of beautiful things. I mean, I think that's really important in life. And then, sort of on the commercial side, you have to have classically trained musicians if you want a great movie soundtrack, if you want a great video game soundtrack. I think some of our best composers these days are in that industry, in the soundtrack industry. They're writing really beautiful stuff, and if you want that, you need to have the education side of it. And I think there's also always going to be a desire for live performance. I think there's really nothing like it. I'll listen to music I love and it sounds good, but I want to hear a live orchestra. It's just not as exciting to listen to a recording as it is to listen to a concert. And I think, I've spoken to patrons who say, I'm a lawyer, my job is stressful. At the end of the week, I come to a symphony concert and this is how I feel better. I think it's important.
What do you do for fun outside? If that's not related to music, if the answer is nothing, that's also fine. I'm making my reeds for fun, or I practice some more oboe. But do you have any hobby that is maybe not music related?
Well, I used to have hobbies, and then I had a son. So now I have a child, and taking care of him is sort of my hobby right now. But I like to, when I'm not taking care of my son, I like to knit. So I'm still doing stuff with my hands that's still connected to reed making.
Is that coming from your mom or your grandma maybe, or just your own
me.
undertaking?
I just like it, yeah. And I also like to run. I like to exercise. It feels good to be outside. That's one thing I love about living in the South is you get to enjoy the outdoor weather for so long.
How old is your son now?
He's 2.5.
2.5. You thinking?
He is already learning to play the cello.
At 2.5? Really?
Yes.
Okay. They have small cellos like that?
They do. It's made of foam.
Okay.
So you can throw it around and it's fine.
But does it make a sound? It doesn't.
It does not make a sound. But it is very cute, and that's what matters. And it's actually very cool. We also got him a real bow. His daddy is a cellist.
Okay.
And so we got him a real little bow. It's about that long. And there's a slot in the foam cello for you to put the bow so you can learn how to bow straight, which he does not want to do. He just wants to freeform. But for that age, what's important is that he's singing. He'll sit in on my oboe lessons, and I'll be, tapping the beat for a student, and he'll tap along with me.
So he's listening to music all the time, right? With
Yeah.
his dad and with you, and music is all around. I grew up in a musician family, so I know what that's like.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that your kid is going to become a musician, but I think you need music in your life, and
I think so.
The sooner you start, the better it is.
Yeah. 2 is maybe a little early.
I don't know. Zoltán Kodály famously said that you should start the music education 9 months before you were born. Before you were born, and then he corrected it, 9 months before the mother is born. So it actually does need that personal connection, and also seeing it at home. I mean, it helps. I have a lot of friends who are not from a musical family, and they still ended up playing this, but definitely thinking that this is a normal way of life.
Yes,
like my kids did always think it was. That's what adults do. They just play music, and so that's normal.
Yeah, I should mention too, another job I do, I'm a Suzuki early childhood education teacher.
Okay.
It's a little bit on hiatus now, but I teach babies and toddlers. I have a class. It's from birth through age 4. Once they're 4, they're too old. But we do talk about in the womb, you can play music for your child, and it helps.
So what exercises do you do with toddlers? I'm just curious. What exercises for music is you just clap or sing or go for the rhythm?
Yeah.
Maybe first.
Oh yeah. You can do a lot with them. So sort of the first element in Suzuki is repetition.
Mm-hmm.
So they're coming to class once a week, and there are only two different there's class A and class B.
Mm-hmm.
So you get A, B, A, B. So they're getting a lot of repetition. They're singing a lot of the same songs. So they're practicing.
So it's singing first and foremost.
Singing.
No instrument yet.
Oh,
just
no,
singing.
and we have percussion instruments,
Okay.
and we move to music. We have scarves. We dance around to music.
So what's the earliest age you can give a violin to a kid? Because Suzuki would be a string program first and foremost.
So then they can start them at age 4.
4.
Okay. Yeah, and they make sized down violins and cellos and which are super cute. But and the nice thing about the class is that then you're ready to start. You've got some skills. I'm constantly correcting. I hand them a mallet and they want to play it like this, and I correct their grip like this, and that's the start of a bow hold. And you're doing it with your parent or caregiver, so the parent is involved. And parental involvement at that age is really important. So they're learning that from day one, and they're also listening. We have a class recording that they listen to every day, and of course in Suzuki that's really important. So yeah, it's a great class. It's really fun for me. I only moved to Nashville in 2019, so getting it started in the last few years has been a little rough.
How long is a class for a toddler?
An hour.
An hour,
actually,
really?
surprisingly,
Surprisingly long.
There's a warm up at the beginning and a warm down, and halfway through they sort of get to run around, and that really helps.
Yeah.
Yes.
That makes sense.
It's very smartly
I wish we
structured.
could do that in an orchestra.
Just run around waving scarves around. That would be fun.
Thank you for the interview.
Thank you so
much.
much.
Thank you.